So Nick, what's the one thing that springs to mind when you think about parenting?
Organised chaos.
What is one thing that you think people should never ask a parent?
Asking how much they've slept or how long they've slept, or discussing sleep in any format. Please don't talk to me about how little you've slept.
Questions like, is your child walking yet? Are they speaking yet? It's kind of like, leave my child alone. They're going to develop at their own pace. Like, it's not a competition.
So when it comes to parenting, what's the first thing for you that comes to mind?
My objective when I wake up every morning is to make my kids laugh. Like, that's, if I do that, I'm good for the day.
Am I spending enough quality time with my kids, with my children? That's the first thing that springs to mind for me.
What superhero power has being a parent unlocked for you at work?
I think just that level of resilience and deep empathy of one's children can be applied somewhat to work. And I think it's all wrapped up in perspective.
I think the ability to negotiate, I would put up there high on my CV. You deal with the most difficult and awkward stakeholders in your household as possible and learn skills of balancing and negotiation because you love them dearly, but also they can't have what they want all the time.
Has anything like that happened with you where you've been working and then had to look after the children suddenly, or they've surprised you whilst working?
So many times. At my old house before I moved, it was a clear glass door. They would bang on the window, daddy, daddy. And so you've got a decision to make. Do you mute quickly and say, shh, stop? Or do you just hope that no one hears it on the other side? And then you have to try and time it. Right, maybe if I don't come off mute in the next couple of minutes, they would have stopped.
As a parent, you always have to be that sort of one step ahead of thinking about what core skills are you putting into these small, mouldable and somewhat vulnerable people, but also making that pleasurable for them and an enjoyable experience as they grow up.
Did you have any concerns becoming a parent with regards to your career?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I would say just the pregnancy itself and sort of working and like physically maybe not feeling, your best self, but having to show up still with the sort of same expectations as anybody else. Has definitely been challenging.
It was something that was on my mind for a really long time, years before I even planned to have children. I had a lot of concerns about the parenting tax that disproportionately impacts women more than it impacts men.
I think it's a massive, do I have children young so they get to know my parents and I can be with them as well, or do I have them later and then build my career first? So where do I go? So I think that's the biggest thing for me.
Julie, how do you then manage work-life balance?
I think for me it's, it starts with kind of two things. So one is there's a constant prioritization process that's happening for me because, as you know, your kids become your purpose. Every hour, every minute that's not spent with my children when I'm at work, it has to be spent on the things that matter most, the things that will have the biggest impact. So at work, I'm, constantly prioritizing, and if I say yes to something, what is it that sort of has to give, essentially, for me?
I took a lot of time to get to this conclusion that it's okay not to be perfect all the time. So I just accept that I can do my best. And I think even if I reflect on my own parents, they did their best and I turned out okay. So that's how I sort of think about it.
And I think that's so incredibly powerful because you need to be okay. You need to be okay because you've got your work life, you've got your parent life, but you've also got a life too. And so making sure that you fill up yourself from an energy level and not strive towards perfection for everything, I think is so incredibly powerful to realise.
So Nick, do you feel like when you become a parent, you have that deep sense of understanding or connection with other parents at work?
The connection of really just hearing their stories and hearing their enjoyment of what they're doing with their children, but also the challenges. We'll probably all have very similar challenges. Can't get them to sleep, or won't go to school, or they won't do this. So I think having a level of empathy again with fuller parents makes a deep connection.
I think developing those connections at work is so powerful because you get you can say to somebody, oh my goodness, this is my situation right now.
Yeah.
And you get that sudden jolt of empathy and community and village. They always say, you need a village to raise a child.
What was something you wish your line manager or anyone else at the workplace did for you when you came back as a new parent?
I would say to take a pause moment, to take in all of what's happening, because it just goes so quick, and not to just throw yourself back into work so quickly. And it's okay to just take it easy, ease myself back into work, make my family, my partner, my child a priority for this season, because it's a season that comes and goes really quickly.
I think it's just that understanding of someone going, I get that things are different for you at home and there's an adjustment period of being a new parent, and we understand that, and the expectations on you as a member of staff is sort of we're there to support you as a person and as an employee.
So Nick, what would be some advice that you'd give to your younger self before you became a parent?
So the advice I would give to myself is the same advice my father's given to me, and probably what his father and mother give to him, is enjoy every minute, because before you know it, they're up and gone.
When I have my kids in the car, I think, right, captive audience, I'm going to talk to them about something really important, and they're going to really take it in, and you realise they're not. What they're going to take in is what you do, and they're going to see, oh, Dad does that, and that must be what I should do. So yeah, working hard, making sure you're polite when you're out and talking to, someone in a restaurant or something, and it is solely they take your behaviours and, for better or worse, they mimic them. So yeah, you realise that it's actions over words every time. You have to kind of live up to the values you want them to have and instill in them.
Before I went on maternity leave, I thought I'd have loads of time. I thought it would be a year off with a small child who would obviously follow my well-organised routine. And I would be able to do an additional advertising degree. After being a parent, I realised how ridiculous that concept was, and my child never slept. I couldn't have done a degree. So I think also it's a little bit about you can't plan everything. It's good to have structure, it's good to have a point of view, and it's good to have an end goal, but you also need to be fluid. And sort of allow the river of parenting to sort of take you downstream.